There have been tough days in my life, but nothing hit quite like that night. It wasn't loud or dramatic. No one laughed. No one pointed. But the shame I felt was sharp, quiet, and unforgettable. I've never felt smaller. It was my own birthday, and somehow I felt like a stranger in the middle of it all. Music playing, people smiling, drinks flowing, and then her, my wife Karen, laughing like a schoolgirl with her ex-husband. Yeah, her ex. She invited him. It had taken weeks to plan the night. I wasn't going for anything flashy, just a good time. Grilling in the backyard, music, close friends. I invited people I enjoyed being around, a few of her friends too, because that's how we always did things. Karen had asked earlier that week if she could invite some old friends. I didn't press for details. I said, sure. I trusted her, or thought I did. I was halfway through my third beer when he showed up. At first, I didn't even recognize him, but my buddy Lucas leaned over and said, "Isn't that Karen's ex?" And in that second, my chest got tight. He strolled in like he owned the place, like he knew he shouldn't be there, but also knew someone definitely wanted him there. Karen greeted him with a hug, not the polite, quick kind. It was slow, full-bodied, like they'd missed each other. I just stood there, beer half raised, not knowing what to do. She turned and smiled like nothing was off. "Babe, this is Jared. I told you I invited some old friends." I didn't say anything, just shook his hand. One of those cold, tight handshakes where both of you know what's really going on underneath. He looked at me like I was harmless. I smiled back like I wanted to throw him through the fence. I'm not the jealous type. I don't check phones. Don't ask too many questions. I notice things, sure, but I don't obsess. But that night, watching her orb around him, touching his arm, laughing at things that weren't even funny, tilting her head that way she does when she's locked in, it burned me in places I didn't know existed. She didn't even have the excuse of alcohol. She was sober. Every move she made, every smile, every glance, it was all deliberate. That was what killed me. It wasn't careless. It was chosen, and everyone saw it. Nobody said anything, but I could feel their eyes. The kind of silent witnessing that makes your skin crawl. I remember standing at the grill like everything was normal, flipping burgers while Jared told some story about Italy. Karen was beside him glowing. I wasn't in the story. Hell, I wasn't even in her view anymore. She looked through me like I was furniture. Lucas came over at one point, asked if I was okay. I lied, said I was tired. What was I supposed to say? That I wanted to drag my wife out of the party and ask her why she invited a man who clearly still had a place in her heart. But I didn't, because I don't explode. I absorb. I smiled for photos, passed out drinks, even made a toast because Karen asked me to. The whole time I watched them, studied the way she leaned into him, the way her eyes lingered, even when he wasn't looking. This wasn't harmless nostalgia. This was something alive. After everyone left, the silence in the house felt deafening. Karen came up, kissed my cheek, and said, "That was nice, wasn't it?" I just looked at her, really looked, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Yeah, I said it was something. She went to wash off her makeup, said she was exhausted. I just sat there in the dark. She's still on staring at a half-finished glass of whiskey. Something in me shifted. She thought I'd just take it, that I'd stay quiet, swallow like always. She didn't know what I'd been thinking or what I'd been noticing. We'd been together for years, lived on the same roof, shared a bed, split bills. But now I saw it clearly. There had always been a separate world she kept hidden. When I was never allowed to enter, Jared wasn't just in her past. He had never fully left. When we met, she was already divorced. She told me the basics, his name, the years they were married, a vague mention that it just didn't work. She said they didn't talk anymore. I took her at her word. Everyone has a past, right? I didn't dig. But looking back, the clues were there. Little things that only make sense after everything blows up. A distant look on her face when she scrolled through old photos. When I asked what she was thinking, she'd say, "Just remembering when life was lighter." I thought she meant you simpler times. Now I know she meant him. His name popped up at her stories. Not in a bad way. Not even as a mistake. Just there, present. Like a shadow she never stepped out of. They used to take trips, go dancing. He was always part of the story she told about before. There was one night we were watching a comedy special, and the comic joked about that one ex who still lives in your phone, even if you act like they're gone. Karen laughed a little too hard. I joked, "You still got him saved?" She said, "Of course not." But something about the way she said it didn't sit right. I checked her phone the next day. No Jared, but there was AJ taxes. She never did her own taxes. I always help with that. Still, I didn't bring it up. I told myself I was being paranoid. I didn't want to be that guy. The insecure husband who goes through her stuff. She talked in her sleep, sometimes. One night, clear as day, I heard her whisper, "Jared, stop." I didn't wake her, didn't mention it, just lay there beside her, wondering why his name still sounded so fresh coming out of her mouth. Any time I tried to talk about it, even gently, she got defensive. You think I'm still hung up on a guy I divorced years ago? Really, she made me feel like I was a problem, like I was crazy for even noticing. And that's how it works, right? You end up apologizing for having instincts. We bumped into him once at the grocery store. I saw her light up in a way she hadn't in years. She fixed her hair in the freezer door's reflection, straightened her clothes, hugged him longer than she hugs her mom on Christmas. I stood there like a prop. They laughed at some inside joke. He looked at me and said, "So, this is a lucky guy?" Karen didn't confirm it. She just smiled. That's when I knew I wasn't her first choice. I was her fallback, the safe one, the one who wouldn't hurt her, the one who listened, stayed calm, didn't demand too much. I gave her stability. And in return, she kept a space in her heart reserved for someone else. I'm not perfect. I know that. But I showed up. I was loyal. I made her feel loved. Never questioned. Meanwhile, I spent years feeling like an outsider in my own relationship. Because even when she looked at me, a part of her was always looking behind me at something or someone she hadn't truly let go. She never really stopped wanting him, you know? So, when she invited him to my birthday party, of all things, it wasn't just a clueless move. It was deliberate. People don't bring the past into a room unless there's something unresolved, something still alive. And the way she touched his arm, the way she laughed just a bit louder around him. It wasn't harmless nostalgia. That was emotional intimacy that had gone quiet, not gone away. And that night, she gave him the stage and he performed all over what was left of my pride. What people don't get is revenge isn't always some loud explosion. It's not broken plates and shouting matches. The most effective revenge is quiet. It happens when you've had time to think, time to breathe, time to let go of the anger and replace it with clarity. That's when it really stings. That's exactly what I did, and she didn't see it coming. The night after the party, I didn't sleep at all. She, on the other hand, was out cold, as if her conscience had nothing to answer for. I sat there in the dark, going over every detail from the party, like I was watching security footage. Every laugh she gave him, every time her hand grazed his arm, every look she used to give me that now belonged to someone else. She didn't confess anything. She didn't need to. Disrespect doesn't need to scream to be heard. So I started moving in silence, not angry, just focused. I called work and took a few days off. No one asked why. I went through the apartment, the accounts, the documents, anything she could use against me. I handled quietly, removed my name from her car insurance, separated my finances from hers. She had quit her job when I got promoted, said she needed time to find her passion. I didn't argue, so guess who was paying for everything? Yeah, me. I called a real estate buddy and told him I wanted to sell fast. It was all in my name. She just never noticed. By the next day, I had a buyer. I didn't wait. I started packing, not to leave, but to let her know she was no longer staying. Then I waited. I let her think everything was normal. Made dinner. We laughed. She kissed me. I didn't flinch. I acted like nothing was wrong, because every lie she ever told me, I was about to return with interest. Saturday morning, I handed her an envelope. She was still in her robe, drinking coffee, smiling, probably expecting tickets to a weekend getaway. Inside was a letter, not a breakup note, not some dramatic speech, just facts. She had 48 hours to move out. Her access to the account's gone. The engagement ring. Keep it. It had already been replaced. She stared at the paper, confused. What is this? She asked. I didn't yell. I looked her in the eyes and said, this is the cost of pretending I didn't exist at my own birthday. She froze, tried to reach for my hand. Michael, wait. I stepped back, told her, you invited your ex to my celebration. You touched him. You smiled at him like I wasn't even there. You embarrassed me in front of people who matter to me. And worse, you were completely sober. You meant it. She started sobbing. The kind of cry that might have pulled my heart before, but now it just sounded like noise. She swore it meant nothing, that she missed a version of herself she used to be around him. I laughed. Then go be her again, just not here. She begged for a conversation, pleaded with me not to throw everything away over one night. I told her she was the one who threw it away every day. She kept him alive in her heart. I grabbed my keys, told her she could cry all she wanted, but she was still out by Monday. What she didn't know was I'd already told building management, changed the door code, cut her phone line. She was on my plan, and when she tried to call Jared straight to voicemail, he'd gone quiet, too. Turns out he had a fiancé in another city and didn't want the drama. Within days, her whole world collapsed. The same woman who smiled like she owned a room at my party was suddenly calling around for a place to stay. I didn't block her. I just never answered because real revenge isn't loud. It's showing someone they never had you not the way they thought they did. You know what's underrated? Peace. That moment when your phone doesn't buzz with anxiety. No long emotional texts. No guessing games. Just stillness. That's what I found after she left. No, I never took her back. Not even when she messaged me 6 months later saying she was healing and finally understood what she lost. She did lose something, but so did I, and we both had to live with that. People asked if I started dating again. Assumed I'd dive into rebounds, flings, all that. I didn't. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. There's a big difference between being alone and being free. I wasn't looking for anyone anymore. I didn't need to guess how someone felt about me. I didn't feel like a ghost in my own relationship. I was just me, and it felt good. I started walking. No music, no distractions, just me and the silence. At first, it was strange, but slowly I remembered who I was before her. The guy who didn't need constant reassurance, who didn't shrink himself to make someone else feel bigger, who didn't mistake patience for endurance. Just honest, present, clear. And I realized something most people figure out too late. You don't need someone to complete you. You need someone who doesn't drain you. I stayed single for a while. Not bitter, just a peace. I had a few casual relationships. Nothing deep. I was always honest. I wasn't looking for forever. And they respected that because honesty these days is rare. Even some friends faded away. Funny how people vanish when you stop chasing chaos. The couples we used to double date with, they stopped inviting me. I guess single men make married people uncomfortable. Like we're a reminder of a freedom they can't have anymore. But the real ones stayed. The ones who understood I wasn't a villain. I was just done. I'd hear updates about her now and then. Moved cities, dated some guys, started a blog about healing after heartbreak. I never judged her for it. People recover however they can. But I never read a single post. Why would I? That story ended the day I handed her that envelope. I started painting. Not good, just enough to clear my head. Traveled alone. Thought it would feel lonely, but it was powerful. Eating by yourself in another country, walking unknown streets. It doesn't make you invisible. It makes you untouchable. Sometimes I still miss the idea of love. Not her, just a feeling, the warmth of another person beside you, a random text during the day, the way someone laughs when they're fully themselves. But I never chased it because I know what it costs to rush. And once you've tasted peace, the kind you earn, not stumble into, you never trade it for something loud and messy again. Do I have regrets? Of course. I regret not listening to my gut. I regret tolerating things just to avoid arguments. I regret not walking away the moment I felt her slipping. But staying taught me something leaving couldn't. Loyalty without boundaries will destroy you. Now I'm solid. Not in some highlight reel kind of way. Just grounded. I sleep well. I eat better. I wake up without dread. I don't flinch when my phone lights up. I don't beg to be seen. And when I see couples fighting in public, I don't judge them. I just feel grateful because I know what it's like to be in that storm. And I'm thankful I made it out. Will love find me again? Maybe. But I'm not waiting around like it's a reward. And if it does come, it better come with honesty, clarity, and zero ghosts because I'm done sharing my space with someone who keeps romanticizing what they should have left behind. I'd rather be alone in peace than partnered in doubt. And that, my friend, is the most grown man thing I've ever learned.